Hey guys, welcome back to AFK Journey. In today's video, we're continuing our updated boss guides with the Snow Stomper Endless Mode. Now, this boss is probably what I would call the most tricky one and the most finicky depending on where your account is at. There is a lot of variables in this one. Once again, as always, I will leave link to 3 resources. We got Pridewin, Analytica, and Vatra's website that you can go look at for some like raw end game teams that are performing super well. But this, we are going to look at a progression-based type system and how to maximize your damage in this boss as free to play with some options. Now, the option on screen right now was the last one I've tested. I've done a lot of testing with a lot of different characters, a lot of artifacts, and I found what's sort of my best performance at the moment. Once again, this one is finicky and my best performance may be different for you, but hopefully you can look at some of these factors that I'm going through to help you get some more damage. So basically with this team here, the thing about Rainier is I don't really like him in bosses until he's Mythic Plus because he really doesn't offer a ton here. But because in this battle, you do struggle with survival for the main unit that is getting frozen by the ice block, this is a good way to put some steady healing on that unit and keep them alive, whilst also having a bit of extra damage output. So Rainier is a good one for this one. Now, unfortunately, I tried Rainier with all damage and without any support. I've tested Smokey, I've tested Coco, and I just get wiped when I don't run the Coco. Her lifesteal is also beneficial for everyone else to help them survive and maximize your damage. But in this team, if you are struggling with survival, being that your unit who gets frozen first is dying too quickly, you can do something like this to keep the healing up on them. That is one option. This is not my best team. This one ended up with about 17 million. Now, another option that you have, and with this one, I like the Fireball in this boss. Sometimes you can use the haste one, but the Fireball's super nice for helping clutch down that ice block in time when you're doing really finicky teams, which I'll show you on my best performance team. But these are the 2 main ones I use, with the one exception of a team that I can show you guys, which is making use of Carlisle. So if you have to see it as your main DPS, if you're using her as one of your DPS, a really good cheesy system that you can use is to go like this. This allows her to get Carlisle out before anyone gets frozen because she immunes the silence, and then Carlisle can burst it really quick. So we're going to do a run through with this one because I think this is a tech that will help a lot of people. Once you get higher leveled in Endless Mode, this becomes less of an issue because you have more power to destroy that first ice block. But in early days, this one could help a lot of people depending on your situation. So let's jump in and take a look at this and show you guys exactly what I'm talking about in this one. The link to Thorin doesn't really matter in this one. We could put it over here on Merrilee as well. The reason I'm doing it like this is because she gets the buff. Otherwise, if you wanted your Merrilee here, you can do that. Now, once again, Merrilee does require to be Mythic Plus to do this. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at something like this formation, and then maybe you sub in something like a Shakir. When we look at my best formation currently is just this. So by swapping that to Cecilia, that's probably going to be what your best formation will be if you've invested into Cecilia and you don't have that Merrilee built up. But once again, I want to show you guys the way this one works so you guys can get a gauge for it. Now, I do have to bounce out. By rights, I should be changing my level here on my Merrilee because Merrilee is at the moment power leveled. You know what? Let's go do it quickly just so we can show you guys the best possible combination. Now, I think Odie is going to deal more damage. If I was doing this super seriously, I would be you know, testing both of these ones. But Odie's probably going to do... Basically, with this situation, when you've only got one higher leveled character, you've got to consider which one you want to get frozen. And in this, I want Odie to get frozen in this type of formation. If it's Merrilee as your main DPS, you always want her boosted. But with this one, if I can get Odie to be the one who gets frozen, then it's going to be more beneficial. The reason for that is Odie's AI makes him target the boss even when the ice block happens. So Odie doesn't contribute to the ice block breaking, which really does suck. And it's kind of like a little bit of a crippling factor for him that he can't manage it. So once again, this is the kind of team we would be looking at. And like I said, I would put Shakir in there. in this kind of formation, my Kruger is too weak. Even if I link my Kruger to my Thorin, he doesn't get the max stack defense break, and he just sort of fails. So you'd be looking at something like this. You could run something like this, but I like having more damage dealers to be able to help contribute to that damage. Now, another thing you could do is you could run it like this to help your Shakir survive in that front row, but there's a few different options. But what I want to really show you guys is this strategy here, using this one to get our Sacia to be able to pop her her ultimate and get Carlisle out to help contribute to the break. Now, this is going to be finicky. My Shakir may die, so Shakir is a bit of a tech unit that we can go into. Like I said, we might actually just show it like this, see if we can get Kruger to survive to an ult, but in general, Kruger is going to be screwed as well. So let's go ahead and try this one. Let's jump in, and I want you to pay attention to the way Sacia functions. So we're going to get the boss who is going to use his AoE silence, which is going to come up in a second here. So there it is, and you can see unaffected Sacia, she still gets the ult. Carlisle comes out, he's there, now he can contribute. I should move Odie as well so that he doesn't get, it doesn't take so long for my units to run there. But there you go, that's an example. And as you can see, my Kruger, even linked to my Thorin, dies before he can use an ultimate on the boss, which makes him quite useless in that sense. So once again, when you are looking at this kind of strategy, that's kind of what you're looking at. Hopefully we can get that ice block down pretty quick smart here. And there we go. We managed to get it down just, but as you can see, without the Merrily and also trying to use that Kruger just doesn't quite have the wood if you don't have him highly invested. This is one of those bosses where if you want to use Kruger, you're going to need that heavy investment. The other thing you can do is put Kruger at the back and use this attack speed artifact to give him the immunity so that he can use his first ult on the boss. But in general, it's probably going to cripple you then, because then you won't get Carlisle out to help destroy the ice block. So it's a very awkward fight in that sense. But hopefully that battle showed you a few different things. One, that Kruger kind of sucks in this one until you have higher investment. Two, that Sacia with this artifact can be really strong to get Carlisle out to break the first block. And those are some options you have. Like I mentioned before, I'm just going to quickly bounce out, and I'm going to put my Merrily back to max level so I can show you guys my max damage formation. So we're going to go back over to here. Let's go back into this one. Here we go. All right, like I said, the other thing you can do with your high damage dealer is you can run it with a single copy of Rainier, and you can do the swap on that. That gives that unit extra healing capacity, and you can do that. Now, you can also swap Coco for Smokey. In some situations, it can work better. In my testing currently with where I'm at, Coco is working better. So let's jump in. I want to show you guys what my current best formation is and what I've reached my highest damage with. Like I said, this is going to be very, very finicky, because for this team, about 2 times through the battle, my Merrily drops to about 5% health, and then comes back up with the lifesteal that is provided by Coco. So this one is a very sketchy one to get high damage in, but it's also very nice. The other thing, once again, I am going to use the Fireball on this one. Hopefully you guys can see the value in the Fireball with this one. The ult-based one, I always forget their names, but the Star Shard spell, once again, because we're losing access to so many ultimates, I like the Blazing spell. Plus, it also helps because it will launch the Fireball during the ice block and help kill that ice block, which can then save your unit from dying. Now, the reason I'm using Shakir here is he just has more self-sustain than Kruger, and he just survives longer into the battle than Kruger. Mine also does have that extra dupe, so he is a bit higher invested, so that also affects it. Now, I did try this with Sacia instead of him, and it just does a little bit less damage. It's not as reliable with Sacia instead of Shakir. Like I said, there's a lot of different things that come into play with this one, but I want to show you guys this team that I used. See, and like this could do like, this could end up being 7 million damage, or it can end up being 20 million damage. It just depends on a little bit of the RNG. So let's go ahead and see. So there comes the silence. There comes the ice block. Shakir needs to run, and this is where RNG. This fight, Shakir decided to keep attacking the boss, which means now my Merrily is also going to die. Like I said, this is such a finicky boss fight, and the RNG in specific fights can make a massive difference. When I got my best score, which was 20-something million, Shakir was smart and he ran before the boss's second breath. It is so RNG based, it's not funny. What I might do is I'll show you a run with Sacia in there to show you kind of the functionality as well. But once again, this boss fight, if you do test a team one time, make sure you see like, okay, if this little bit of RNG changed, could it have changed the whole course of the battle? Because in that one, Shakir just turning around a bit quicker means we also break the ice block, which means everyone survives, then Coco ults, and we're good. So there is a big difference in that. And as you can see, that team previously got me 20.6 million damage. But let's go again. Let's jump in here, and let's do it with Cecilia, just to show you guys the way the Cecilia one works. Once again, Odie is just really solid damage for this, but the problem with him is that he just continually targets the boss, which sucks. Whereas this, now we have Cecilia to also contribute to that damage on breaking the block. Now, we could combine this with the two things, and we could put her over there, and then we could use this one to guarantee the first block break, but then it gives us less throughput for the rest of the battle. So we're going to see if we can clutch it in with this one, and actually break the ice block on the Merrily in the time provided. But once again, you've just got to play around because a lot of the timing on this stuff is very, very tight. So as you can see, she's going to go ice block here. Odie, being his general stupid self, is going to continually attack the boss. Now we should kill the ice block just before, and as you can see, we just got that ice block down. Now as soon as Coco stands up, she is going to use that ultimate, which is going to be super clutch. There we go. We get the mitigation. It covers out on Carlisle as well. This one could actually, the RNG on this one could actually come out to be more damage than my Shakir fight, but let's see what happens. So we lose Carlisle. That's okay, because we're going to get him out again. Hopefully we get Carlisle out before we do the buff. Let's see. Carlisle, please. Yes, good. Carlisle, then the buff. So Carlisle gets the buff as well, which is going to really help out there. We get the execute. You can see that time Odie finally targeting the ice block, which is super clutch. Now we get some more damage ramp up. We got 11 seconds left. I think we are actually going to get our best damage with this one, but you can see how tight we were. Okay, we just missed out, but that's pretty much the same damage as my Shakir battle did. Maybe with RNG, we do a bit better on that one. But you can see how tight that was on actually getting that ice block down without merrily dying. For instance, on that one ice block, when Odie finally decided to use his ultimate on the ice block, if we didn't get that, we would have died. So you can see that run was, what, 20.4 million? That my best was 20.6 using Shakira instead of Cecilia. So once again, you can play around with that. I do have the Merrily. If you don't have the Merrily, once again, you're going to have to drop her. You're probably going to be using that Cecilia. And then once again, you can look to using Shakira or something like that. Another damage dealer. You can even, if you're desperate, use a Smokey for another sustain to try and keep that ice block unit alive. But if you don't have Merrily, I think this is probably going to be one of your best formations to try and use, which is going to look something like this. I think that could really help out, depending on who you want to get the max damage. Otherwise, once again, you are looking at that other formation, like I mentioned, of using that, and then bringing her with that artifact so that we can get Carlisle out to help break the ice block. Once again, I'm sorry for how long this video is, but there is just so much nuance to this fight, depending on your levels, on your investment and stuff like that, that it is quite finicky. But hopefully you guys can look at some of those strategies and maybe something can get you a bit of a higher score. But once again, it is one. Don't be afraid to test a team again if it fails one time. Like I said, I showed you guys that Shakir run. He stayed in melee range and died, whereas the previous run he didn't, and it did more than double the damage. So very RNG based, very finicky fight this one, but hopefully this helped out a little bit. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.